Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Crypto Hipsters Curtain Calls. This is your host, Jamil Hassan, the Crypto Hipster, where I bring you compilations from seasons 6, 7, and 8. Basically, 4 clips or more of my podcast from previous seasons, wrapped into a single episode, a compilation episode for your enjoyment and listening opportunities. And thank you for tuning in today to my 43rd episode 43, entitled Sultans of Swing, Empowering Crypto Traders and Investors with the Useful Tools and Opportunities to take full advantage of their Web3 experiences. This podcast focuses on 4 episodes, 2 from Season 7 and 2 from Season 8. The first person I spoke with was back in Season 7, was in April 2024. Conversation with James Toledano, who's the COO at Savl. We talked about unlocking the power of decentralized finance, DeFi, to help investors stay safe, transact ethically, and gain access to Web3. The second person I spoke with was during Season 8. It's a video. Season 8 was the first season I transitioned from audio podcast to video podcast. So check this one out. This happened in May 2025. Dewdney and he is the CEO and co-founder at Kuva.ai. We talked about making digital transactions simple through text-to-trade functionality and hooting. So check that out and find out what hooting is. My podcasts are available on Spotify, Apple, Google, YouTube, anywhere you listen to your favorite podcasts or watch your favorite podcasts. And you can find out all about what they're up to and what hooting is and how it can help you with your crypto trading and investing. Third was back in Season 7 in June 2024. I spoke with the COO of Bitget wallet named Alvin. We talked about building a secure, robust, and intelligent Web3 wallet of the future. And then last but not least, from Season 8, from March, a conversation with the founder of Hinkal, Georgi Koreli. And we talked about why public blockchain wallets are dead and why privacy matters most. These 4 episodes make up this 43rd compilation from the Crypto Hipsters Curtain Calls. We're all on our way to 67. Not 6 or 7, rather 67. So 24 more to go. And this episode is entitled Sultans of Swing, Empowering Crypto Traders and Investors with Useful Tools and Opportunities to take full advantage of their Web3 experiences. Enjoy this episode. Thanks for tuning in. I'll catch you next time and enjoy. And if you like any of these clips, please listen to the podcast in its entirety for any one of these episodes. So thank you very much, and I'll see you soon. But going back to that fragmentation, you said that crypto shouldn't be cryptic, right?
Yes.
What does that mean and how do we solve it?
Well, so this is something I think about a lot with other ideas, out there in the ether. So, like when people talk about some of the concepts in physics, right? They just seem so hard to get your head around. And I think it's incumbent upon scientists in the same way that it's incumbent upon technologists to make things that seem really complicated far simpler. And so really what I mean is, I think for a lot of newbies or people that haven't transacted within crypto, there's this huge amount of fear that prevents them from diving in, right? Because, like if you think about it, let's just take a stable coin like USDC, right? The USDC can come in many different flavors, right? You've got the Ethereum version, the Optimism, the Solana, the AVAX, and the bot and the base version of USDC. And if you don't know what you're doing and you want to send, your USDC to someone else, but you're sending your USD Ethereum to a Solana USDC address, then you're going to lose your money. And people that haven't ever done any crypto transactions, they hear this stuff and it kind of really freaks them out. So again, what we try to do, and I think we do pretty well within our app, is to educate people so that they have less fear going in and that there are more guardrails in the app to prevent them taking the wrong action. Because, I guess in the real financial world, if you make a mistake, you potentially have some recourse. Whereas in DeFi, you're punished really hard for a mistake, right? Like, sometimes if I wanted to off ramp, I want to sell some Bitcoin. Still to this day, even though I'm confident in what I'm doing, I will only send a tiny amount to where it needs to go just to make sure it gets there. And so I think what we want to do is just make it seem a lot less scary. And that goes back to the whole kind of grammar proof thing that feeds in to the need for a really simple user experience and user interface as well. And so, yeah, and hopefully all those things make it less cryptic. Yeah.
I saw a comment yesterday, and I'll talk about this. I saw a comment from Neil Kashkari, who was one of the Fed heirs, and he said that Bitcoin, crypto too, is completely unnecessary and not needed in an advanced democracy. Right?
I saw that.
Yeah, but then you peel it back, right? 35 countries have working democracies. They're Finland, Sweden, Belgium, and all that. The US has efficient democracy. And there are no countries with an advanced democracy. So, that to me, that comment was very cryptic. You have to read between the lines in order to figure out what he's saying. And what he's saying is Bitcoin's needed because no country has an advanced democracy.
Yeah. Didn't he also say that he couldn't see any valid use case for Bitcoin?
In an advanced democracy.
Yeah. I thought it was.
There are no advanced democracies. So when you're decrypting crypto, you're not only decrypting the protocol, but you have to decrypt what you see and hear in the mainstream media. Right? Do you have any pointers for people to do that?
It's a good question. So the thing that's going around in my head right now is people like, you see on Twitter, people like Jim Cramer, right? Who is just talking about, Bitcoin and how it's just going to collapse the whole time. And then the whole Twitterverse or the Xverse are saying, you have to reverse whatever Cramer says, right? So, and it kind of, I don't want to, be kind of immature about the whole thing, but a lot of me thinks that when you hear comments from that Fed guy or from Jim Cramer or from Jamie Dimon, like whatever they're saying, you almost need to reverse. And part of me wonders, especially for someone like Jamie Dimon, if he's just secretly got this huge stash of Bitcoin, right?
Okay, that sounds good so far to me. I want to find out why your technical infrastructure is an upgrade over the really complexity-based systems we have today in blockchain. And it sounds like you're going to be able to onboard the next billion people as we go into that more mature phase of market participation.
Yeah, so I mean, it's definitely an upgrade. I think you can kind of a decent and rough and ready analogy for this is like, how much better did using your phone become when we moved from Blackberries to iPhones, right? And how much more efficient, how much better that UX UI became, how much more engaged and drawn into that platform and product did the world become. I actually think you're going to see a very, very sim because the thing about Kuvi and about this intersection of DeFi and crypto and Web3 and AI agents is that it's actually a UX UI innovation, right? So it's not a massive it's both. It's a technology innovation, but it's also like a UX UI innovation mainly. It's getting people the ability to interact with like what is tantamount to like another human being almost in many ways, except it's like a genius and it never sleeps and it undertakes, whatever, and it does whatever, and it's like a slave for you as well. So it's like, imagine that your filter and UX for any application. I think this is going to be true for in general for many applications, but it's especially true in crypto where things are more complex than they are in other like Web 2 kind of contexts, right? So it's going to be absolutely going to be a huge improvement to people's abilities and what people are doing and their level of engagement, how much they're going to enjoy um, you know interacting with value. The white paper's name is a peer-to-peer a platform for peer-to-peer value transfer, right? So it's although we're centered in on crypto and DeFi and Web3 in our first phase, we actually want to be the nexus for how people interact with value in general, whether that's traditional assets, RWAs, um, anything really.
Awesome. Awesome. So um, let's talk about next why AI agents can be a lifesaver for crypto. There's been some talk about, some people, especially on the Ethereum side, especially, talk about Solana and Ethereum. People were concerned that Ethereum's price is not catching up with the utility, or it's not, So, how can AI agents be a lifesaver to help align the prices, the price discovery, along with the application of, crypto and blockchain in adoption?
Well, I mean, AI agents are really important. Again, going back to this issue of like how complex things are for the regular user, right? So, or for somebody that's like absolutely new coming into this. So if my mom is like, "Hey, I want to buy Bitcoin," what do I tell her? I'm telling her, "Okay, so what you got to do is you have to like yeah, you could sign up for a centralized exchange, but I think that you should do self-custody. How do you sign up for a Bitcoin wallet? Where do you sign up? It's totally different experience than like getting a bank account. It's completely alien to her. So what an AI agent can do is guide you through that process, almost like I would be guiding my mom. So in terms of like how new users come into crypto and DeFi, I think it's absolutely going to remove a lot of complexity and friction in that sense.
So we're still in a bull cycle. Scammers are still out there, and you have created a very robust security agenda, right? In addition to the phishing tracker and the token tracker, what features have you implemented that will help improve the overall risk tolerance?
Yeah, I would say the token screening, phishing site screening, they do help prevent a huge number of scams. There is also, I think, one part that we don't talk enough about with regards to security, and that's making the UI simple and easy. And what do I mean by that? So, Trust Wallet started out as a mobile app, right? And for a very long time, they only stuck to a mobile app and not a Chrome extension, although they recently did it. And one of the reasons why they were so insistent on it was because of security. Just using your phone instead of your browser extension, to me, has a lot more natural protection. And that is also why we put a lot of emphasis and technical engineering resources into making sure that you can swap, you can do anything that you want on the mobile app. And this cannot be said the same for most projects or even wallets on Web3, right? I think ask most Web3 people and they'll say, yeah, I still use a desktop because the experience is so much better than on a mobile. But the reason why mobile is more secure is because every transaction that you do, you need to have a Face ID, right? And the Face ID is a much better way than kind of signing transactions or just keying a password on your Chrome extension. So enabling all these features to be easily used, right, on mobile, to me is a huge, huge security advantage. The other one is also making sure that there's a great aggregator. What do I mean by that? So today on our swap itself, right, if you go to the wallet, go to the swap section, you can do cross-chain swaps across 30 over chains. And when you swap, you get options from 100 over aggregators and DEXs that we aggregate. So for example, you want to swap a token, right? All right, we'll check. Is this Uniswap? We connect to Uniswap, we connect to 1inch, we connect to 0x, we connect to all these aggregators to make sure that you're getting the best fees, the best rates. And why that matters is it's better than the user going to kind of authorize and sign into different DEXs, right? Say you sign to 10 different DEXs to swap 10 different tokens or to check the codes. And then you're exposing yourself to 10 times the kind of risk, right? Especially for newer tokens where you may have to go to smaller DEXs that you're not familiar with. But on an aggregator, what you're doing is you're just signing into your wallet and you're able to access these tokens in the same safe, familiar environment rather than going to a new site and signing, the different contracts. So that's why I say having these features and comprehensive features within the wallet is already a great way to protect the user. And that's why we're so focused on that.
You're talking about DEX aggregators, and I can think about I don't have this on Telegram anymore, but I had it where I could see all the new meme coins, like the thousands of them that created every single day, show up on an aggregator. When you're looking at it, the numbers look like, oh, you make 10 billion%. That kind of looks kind of good, from a number perspective, but there's risk there. And what should people be wary of? And when they see that, they could think they could make 10 billion%.
Yeah. So it is risky, and there are two things here, right? So one is from a service provider perspective, right? From wallet or DEX. Do you try to play government and say that you should buy this and you shouldn't buy this, and to what extent, right? And our take is we believe in Web3 and decentralization. We believe in giving control back to people. And so how you actually show the risk is important. And that's what we are focused on as well. So we have all these APIs bringing in token screening factors and so on. But being able to demonstrate that and show that very, very clearly to the user, all right, you're free to do what you want to do, but we got to alert you to these risks. So that's one part, right? How do we balance that? The second one is then, like you mentioned, can you really earn, 100x, 1000x from it? Look, it's possible, but there's also a lot of risk. Like I mentioned, it could be a honeypot. It could be that there is, tax reflections. For example, when you sell, some of the coins have a 10% tax. And that itself, some people argue is a design of the token. Some people argue that it's a scam. I think people who earn money say it's a design. People who lose money say that it's a scam. So it depends. I think just making sure that we're able to show the different types of risk and exactly what it is to the users, that's important.
Interesting. So let's talk about verifiable privacy then. I used to work at AIG. I was corporate America for a long time, and I built databases. So I said, this is a great transition coming in a blockchain. I see companies are going to have to go from Web 2 to Web 3. They're going to have to, at some point in their lives, or they'll probably die if they don't. How can privacy wallets help corporations move from the Web 2 world to the Web 3 world, especially in DeFi?
Mm-hmm. So ultimately, it's still multifaceted thing, right? So for corporations to move, they should have not only privacy, but also compliance, right, that they have on the banking account. They should make sure that there is no counterparty risk that they're surfacing, right, in the blockchain. So privacy is one of the core pillars there, right, for them to make the same level of experience, to have the same level of experience, right, in terms of people seeing, right? And I think, one of the good examples here is when Franklin Templeton tokenized their assets on Ethereum, I think, they immediately had dust of their accounts, right? So basically people send shit ton of like shit tokens to their accounts, and then they'll like looking at the blockchain and seeing like, wow, this like everyone. And that's one of the advantages that actually XRP has. XRP has this function. You can really decide who you want to accept, right? As or restrict from transaction standpoint. So for so many issues should be solved. So privacy solves this. Okay, no one can see your data, right? It's verifiable. There is private address. No one can dust your wallet, right? But then we have to also think about how can we solve counterparty risk problem, and this is also solved right now, right? So there are a lot of tools that allow you to really analyze different pools and like who you're transacting with.
So what is the counterparty risk problem that needs to be solved? I think people talk about that all the time, but I don't actually know what it is. I think there's a lot of them. So
I think there are many counterparty risks, by the way. I agree with you absolutely. One of the counterparty risks that I'm talking about is the risk of when you transact with different parties. Yeah, and when you let's say do AMM swap, right? So you wanna buy USDC with your USDT or ETH. You don't want to buy it from illicit individual, right? So you want to buy it from legit party. But then what actually funds do now, and there are tools, they analyze the whole pool, right? AMM pool, let's say on Uniswap, ETH USDC pool. And then they can understand what is the dirtiness of this pool based on the LPs that provided liquidity there. And then if the answer is like there's Lazarus Group provided it, right, and it's like 50% of the pool, they will never transact with the pool. That's why now we also see this, more permissioned pools happening. So we are also moving to this arena of like more compliant DeFi. But it's one of the issues that other members are solving now.
got it. So I gotta admit, I'm a little jealous of the Zach XBT guy because he recognized that the Bybit hack was by the Lazarus Group, and then he got the bounty. I'm like, most of the time it's going to be the Lazarus Group. How do you get in there first, right? But say it was private. Say everything was private, right? How could you tell? How could you still, if you're hack, who the hacker was?
hmm So, but private is not the hacker, right? Private is like the owner of the wallet and signers. So here, what we are talking about, like privacy of the signers, right, and the wallet. So no one like if Lazarus Group basically wants to look at the wallet, they see basically aggregated smart contract with all the assets, but they will never be able to see who are the signers or what are the wallets that they sign.